Hello, 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 hello.
Hi, Jodie. You've got a bit of an echo going on there.
Yeah, I do apologise to our listeners. I am in my new house.
Woo!
So I'm currently in my study, which is mostly boxes. There are all of the boxes. And obviously you can't see this if you're listening, but behind me are three massive cupboards which are filled with boxes. Next to me is a massive pile of boxes. But I can't wait. I will keep you updated on my decorating because my plan for these cupboards behind me is to turn it into a giant blackboard. So it's going to be epic. So I'll keep you updated.
That sounds good. How come you've got so much stuff, Jodie? Because didn't you live at your folks before?
I did, but before that, I lived on my own. So my parents, when I moved in with them, which was at the start of COVID, we bought a new shed, and the shed was just stacked with all of my stuff.
Brilliant.
And then I also bought stuff while I lived with my parents.
Yeah.
And then I knew I was buying a house, so I've been saving up. So yeah, I have a lot of stuff.
Oh, it's all good fun though when it's your own house and you're putting it all where you want it.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I have too many books. You'll be proud of me tonight.
Oh, good. There's no such thing as too many books, Jodie. That's not
okay.
A thing.
Fine. I don't have enough bookshelves.
Yeah, that's more like it.
It's your own time you're wasting. So why not stick the kettle on, put your feet up and have a cuppa? Ah, bliss.
So we're chatting today a bit about the careers that we might have had before teaching because both me and Marie took some time out after uni and before PGCE, and our lovely guest did likewise. Do you want to introduce yourself, returning guest Paul?
I'd probably rather you introduced me.
This is our lovely Paul, who was an English teacher and now is part of our team on the Beyond team.
And what did you do before teaching, Paul?
Before teaching, it was a bit itinerant for a while, and then I finally settled in the music industry.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot more exciting than it sounds. I had no musical talent, zero musical talent, but I always had an interest in the industry. And so, yeah, that's where I eventually found myself. I'm actually envious because I always wanted to be a journalist like Marie, but I never managed to make it there.
Well,
yeah, so
I was a very minor journalist.
Even so.
It was fun, I have to say. That's all you had to do every day was write.
I mean, my pre-teaching career was kind of similar vein to Paul. So I used to work in theatre as a kind of technical stagehand, stage manager, dresser, you name it, I did it type job at Sheffield Theatres. So all three of us had a little bit.
Really good.
Oh, it was interesting. Yeah, interesting. Again, it was kind of like same as Paul, like a lifelong dream to do.
Yeah.
So
go on, Paul, give us some deets about your job in the music industry, because I know you're playing it down, but there were some exciting bits.
There were some exciting bits, yeah. I mean, to be honest, it was one that I just fell into after traipsing around the temp agencies in London and just trying to get something, because like others, I probably came out of university with an idea of what I wanted to do, but I left education with the naive belief, which I would partly blame on the education system itself, that good grades and a good attitude were all you needed to get on in life.
Yeah.
And then I came out and got absolutely nowhere with applications because I didn't have the relevant experience. And that puts you in the catch-22 of how do you get experience until you've got experience?
Yeah.
And so then, finally I ended up at PRS, which is the Performing Rights Society.
Yeah.
So our main job is making sure that people get properly remunerated. I can't say get properly paid.
Yeah, fine.
Like me, falling over my words.
Yeah, for when their music is used. So I'll be honest, it was kind of admin hell. So it sounds more glamorous than it ever was, but from the moment I was in there, I was still looking to move on and do more with my degree.
Yeah.
And yeah, as well as being envious of Marie's career in journalism, I also tried to get into your career in the theatre as well, JD.
Yeah.
I just wasn't getting anywhere. And eventually there was another job came up at PRS, which was broadcast licensing consultant, which I thought, ooh, this sounds more promising. And it kind of lent into two areas where I was interested, music and TV and film.
Right.
And so it was basically when music was used in production, I was responsible for helping the production company get clearance
Right.
where necessary. So yeah, I account managed companies such as Endemol.
Ooh.
So yeah, I was with them during Big Brother when all house contestants were under instructions not to sing because that costs about £140 per 30 seconds.
Oh, you're joking! I never knew that. Even if someone just sings something themselves.
If it's under copyright and not public domain, if it was recorded
I
for
never knew
television.
that.
Is it true that Happy Birthday's under copyright? Or is that an urban
until
myth?
recently, yeah, Patty and Mildred Hill. So I retain all this kind of information in my head.
Wow. So you just have to sing it really, really quickly to get it over and done within 29.5 seconds.
Well,
29.5 seconds, you're paying the 30-second rate, so you don't want to go over. And then you pay double.
Oh, that's fascinating.
So, I mean,
so on this podcast, we can't sing a song.
Best not to, no.
You can sing a song that I invent.
Yeah, obviously, Jodie. Yeah.
You can make up your own and then register it with PRS and you can claim royalties on it.
Yeah.
I'll look into that.
So, Paul, have you got any juicy gossip?
Gossip's probably stretching it because most of my contact with the production companies was just phone calls and advising them. I'd occasionally get to go into the offices and have a good look round.
Yeah.
And sometimes there was even better than that. So Gordon Ramsay's production company, when they were piloting a new TV show, invited us on as one of the table guests.
Oh, nice.
That was really good because it was a pilot as well and they were still kind of working out how things ran. It all took a lot longer than it should have done. So they plied us with wine in the meantime.
Nice.
Brilliant.
And then we got a good 2-course meal to soak it up. And in the meantime, Gordon, I think, was hosting. He wasn't actually cooking. I can't remember which show it was, but he was doing the rounds, talking to the tables.
Yeah.
If memory serves me correctly, he called my manager a tosser.
Can we broadcast that?
Can we beep that out?
Beep.
I'm sure Gordon Ramsay broadcast it, or
I'm sure he did.
Worse things.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
I don't even know what the prelude to that was. Maybe he was getting stressed with the production as well. But, yeah, he got my manager's number. And I suppose the other big perk, which came shortly before I moved on to teaching, so I'd already got my PGCE place wrapped up, but I got to go to the 2010 Brit Awards.
Oh, wow.
And that was for nothing, really, because it was done by an outside company but broadcast on ITV. All I needed to do was check through our database and say, yep, all good, which of course they were, if going on the Brit Awards.
Yeah.
They were under the PRS umbrella. And for that, they gave me and another colleague tickets to the Brit Awards.
Wow.
So we were just in with the crowds, wasn't on a table or anything quite that fancy. But we did have tickets for the after party at Earls Court as well. So
oh, wow.
That was
That's so cool.
But again, the main benefit was probably free booze. All the celebrities go off to their own parties that are paid for by the publishers and record labels. But
So,
Yeah.
still,
what celebrities were talking? Who was playing? Who was there? Who
played.
did you meet?
Lady Gaga was
Oh.
the one that
The
stands out
whoa.
because she was just she was wearing. She always wears strange things, doesn't he? But some kind of veil, and she was just
Yeah.
quite mesmeric. I saw her when she came in, went to her table, and was just like, "That is one freaky pop star."
Yeah.
Brit Awards 2010. I'm going to
2010.
Google
Other
Lady
ones,
Gaga.
Florence and the Machine and Dizzy
Oh,
Rascal
yeah.
collaborated. That was a good one.
Wow.
I enjoyed that. I think Kasabian might have opened.
Oh.
Nice. I have looked up just out of interest Lady Gaga's 2010 Brit Award look, and she's got, imagine like a tall kind of Georgian blonde wig with a sort of lace face mask veil.
Yeah.
And then if you kind of imagine 3 lampshades,
That's
one on
what she
top
was
of the
wearing
other.
for
That's
a
the
dress.
kind of vibe for the dress.
Right.
I realise this is a
fairly
terrible
tame for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning. So why would you leave Lady Gaga and everything to be why?
Yeah, that's a very good question that I often ask myself now, because it was quite a cushy job. But what it wasn't was challenging.
Fair.
And God, I think I'm very naive now to go back and said I wanted more challenge.
Yeah.
But the appeal of teaching as well was that it makes a difference.
Yeah.
And though the job had its perks, I couldn't escape the feeling that if I didn't go into the office and then sit tapping away at my computer for the day, it really wouldn't affect anyone or anything.
Yeah. And I think that is the thing about teaching, isn't it? It's such a tough profession, obviously. We talk about that a lot. But you do go into it thinking you can make a real difference.
Yeah, and it really means something.
Yeah. But then so does like music production and stuff, and all those people that kind of work behind the scenes are
the creatives obviously make the biggest difference, and they need the support network behind them.
Yeah.
But it always felt as if it could have been anyone doing that. Whereas when I entered teaching, I shouldn't have been so naive, because my wife was already a teacher, and so I should have seen what was coming. But at the same time, when I interviewed for the broadcast consultant role at PRS, I remember being asked who I most admired, and the answer that immediately popped into my head was my wife Vicky, because of the job that she did on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, don't cry.
Knowing some of the children that she dealt with. And so I kind of wanted part of that. And I still feel justified in taking that approach to teaching.
And I do think teaching, so one of my juniors has just left for university, and you get a very similar feeling as you do with teachers. Like, I know I've made a massive impact on her life, and I know that she's never going to forget me, and I might cry. It was her leaving party last night. And you don't get that. I've never had that in any other job. And when I worked in theatre, it was amazing. And like what we were doing was fantastic. And we put on shows that were brilliant. And there's a great story of a kid. It was their very first show, and they kept referring to it as a movie. And the mum was like, no, this is a play. And bless her, she was about 7. She ended up meeting the woman who was playing Sandy, and she cried. But like, you're making a difference, but you're not changing lives in the same way.
From a more selfish perspective as well, we were looking ahead to having a family.
Yeah.
And again, the naivety is a recurring theme.
Yeah.
But
you thought you were getting holidays, didn't you, Paul?
We were under the impression that would be a family-friendly career. I mean, I should have known better from all the times I used to go out with friends and colleagues on a Friday night while Vicky was collapsed on the sofa at home.
Yeah, you have no excuse. You knew this.
Yeah, you should have thought of this. Yeah.
I was just blinded by the holidays. And the holidays are good. Having that chunk of time together as a family is undeniably good. It's just the rest of the year you have to worry about.
What's on your mind? Let us know your thoughts, ideas and anecdotes. Drop us a line at beyondmailbag@twinkle.co.uk.
Did you tell people about your job before teaching while you were teaching?
As in, did I tell the kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a bit of a boast, isn't it? But the reaction was, why would you swap that for us?
Yeah.
And then you talk through,
Yeah.
this is why I've come into teaching. And they do see that and understand that. And I think they appreciate that as well.
I think they do. Yeah, I really do. I think that boosts their self-esteem to think that you really wanted to do this.
And as well, I think
Lady Gaga for
Yeah.
little year 9s.
Oh.
And I think, kind of it does make you a more rounded person, having had, obviously lots of people do school themselves, university, PGC teaching, and that's great if you're that focused.
Yeah.
But it's also nice to have people who've been outside the education system and have that mix.
I think it's nice to have a mix.
I think it provides more perspective, and also I think it puts you in a better position to speak to children about careers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've already alluded to the fact that I felt that I went through the education system and nobody prepared me for the world of work and what's required.
Same.
Whereas,
I felt the same.
Yeah, when students spoke to me about their ambitions, although I'd obviously say qualifications are important, I'd also encourage them to look into the industry and see what they need to do experience-wise to get a foothold.
I always say qualifications are your backup, so I loved working in theatre and I did it for a few years, but when I decided it wasn't right for me anymore, I could fall back on my degree and my A-levels and my GCSEs.
Yeah. They give you options, don't they?
And also it gave me loads of transferable skills. I guess that's the same for the music industry. Like, what do you think came with you from that job?
You'd be good at admin, Paul.
That's a tough one, actually. Yes, it was a lot of admin. I think, again, my degree was what I fell back on when I moved over to teaching, because actually what I was doing before didn't require a degree.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what it provided, though, was that the whole cliche of the university of life, and actually mixing with people from a lot of different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Because I'd been through school and then to a good university, and I'd always mixed with people from very similar backgrounds to myself. Whereas working in the music and TV industries, there was actually a broad range of people, even though it seems an elite industry, and for certain parts of it, that is the case. I was, working with people across the country. It wasn't just London focused, because I had specific responsibility of looking after Manchester companies as well.
Right.
Still metropolitan liberal elite, I'm sure, but there are a few Scottish and Cornish ones too.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Paul, for being our guest today.
Yeah, it's been fascinating
listening to your stories and your gossip from the showbiz world. How about you, Jodie? What are your thoughts on doing another job before you go into teaching?
I mean, it's kind of, like I said, it's nice to have a mix of people who have and haven't. Because I think of one of my good friends, Lucy, who from us being kids wanted to be a teacher. And she did an undergraduate degree that gave her QTS and has been a teacher ever since. And that's absolutely brilliant for her.
That was her dream.
Really focused.
Yeah.
And I'm so impressed that she can just devote her life to one thing, whereas I'm on like career number 4 at this point.
Same. Yeah.
And I'm only in my 30s, so it's kind of, but when you do have that, just talk about it, because the kids are so interested and it's nice for them to see.
Yeah.
And I know that people in my life that worked in theatre were massive role models to me, to be like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. My great aunt Bobby worked in theatre, and it was very much like, she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
For me, it increased my confidence to do a job elsewhere and then go into teaching. Because I was 28 when I trained, and 20 years ago, my word. And you know, I'd done a few different jobs, journalism being the last one that I did before teaching. And yeah, I just felt like I was confident. I could talk to people. I could say what I meant. I could write.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, the
think
job
it did me good.
for me that made me want to be a teacher was working in a call centre for pensions, and people's numerical ability was shocking. Absolutely shocking. Couldn't work out percentages and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of, I guess, my inspiration to go and be like, this is terrible. We can't have this.
No, agreed.
Because it was just, you know, these people were working with, it was a pension
with
company.
Numbers, yeah.
And they couldn't do the maths with a calculator, you know. So,
yeah,
it gave me an insight as to what a bad education can lead to. These are fully functioning adults, you know.
Of course. Yeah. Mine was just that I was writing features, and they were nice and they had beautiful pictures and they were hopefully well written, but I didn't feel like I was making any impact on the world, and that's what led me into teaching in the end. Yeah, all good.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, listeners.
Yes, thank you.
We'll be back in 2 weeks with another super exciting podcast. Thank you again to Paul, our lovely guest, and our producer, Penny.
Yes, and don't forget to Google Lady Gaga Brits 2010 if you want a picture of that lampshade dress.
See you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is proudly produced by Beyond. Please bear in mind the views and opinions expressed are those of individuals and may not represent those of Beyond or Twinkle.